Long before the house was built, the land itself was already cursed. Buried deep within forests of western New York lies a clearing, silent and untouched by time. Birds don't sing there, the wind doesn't howl. It's as if nature itself holds its breath. To the Seneca people, the original inhabitants of this region, this place was sacred and forbidden. They called it No Face Land, where spirits wandered without features and without peace. Welcome to Dark Whispers, where fear finds its voice. If you love to listen to paranormal investigations, creepypastas, and unsolved mysteries, do surely subscribe and hit the bell icon for more notifications. And if you love to listen to any particular story, do hit us back in the comments. And without any further ado, let's get back to our story. The elders warned their children never enter the clearing after dark. They told of shadow men walking between the trees, of strange lights hovering just above the earth, and of screams that weren't carried on with the wind, because there was no wind. They said the forest watched you, and if it liked you, it might let you go. But if it didn't, you'd simply vanish. Your name? Forgotten. The time passed. Warnings faded into whispers. And then, like so many other sacred lands, it was stolen. In the early 1800s, European settlers arrived. They cleared trees, laid stone paths, and drove iron into the earth. The forest resisted, but the axes didn't stop. And when the trees fell, something else woke up. The settlers ignored the omens. They built their homes, they raised their barns. But soon, the ground soured. Crops withered for no reason. Animals were born deformed, or not at all. One man reported waking to find his well full, not of water, but of blood. Children whispered of a woman in white drifting through the trees. One girl was found in the clearing, face pale, eyes wide, whispering backwards. In the summer of 1973, Clara and Phil Dandy were looking for a fresh start. Like many young families, they dreamed of peace, privacy, and a simpler life for their children. And nestled among the trees, off a dirt road in Hinsdale, New York, they found it. But the silence was the first thing Clara noticed. No rustling leaves, no chirping crickets at night, just stillness. Then came the noises. Footsteps upstairs when no one was there. Voices calling from the woods. And always from the direction of the old pond. One night, Phil stepped outside to investigate. He found a rope tied to the tree nearest to the house, swaying slowly, though there was no wind. Soon, the children began complaining. Something's in my closet. Mommy, there's a lady in the hallway. Clara chalked it up to imagination, stress, adjustment. But deep down, she was beginning to feel it too. Objects moved on their own. Furniture scraped across the floor at night. Doors slammed in empty rooms. But the worst was the feeling, like the house itself was alive, watching them, judging them. One night, Clara woke to a sound she would never forget. A choir of noises, moaning, crying out from beneath the floorboards. She knelt down, pressed her ear to the wood, and just for a moment, she heard her own name. Clara. She screamed, but when Phil ran into the room, the sound had vanished. The children stood silently in the hallway, eyes wide. Each of them had heard it too. But the haunting didn't stop there. The forest, the animals, the land itself began to twist around them. The dandies had unknowingly moved into something ancient and hungry. And what waited beneath the floorboards was just the beginning. Phil began seeing faces in the windows, human, but not quite. Too tall, too still. Eyes that glowed yellow, like distant headlights in a fog. He chased one into the woods one night and returned 2 hours later, barefoot, scratched, and not remembering where he'd gone. After just a few weeks, the dandy family realized they weren't just being haunted, they were being hunted. Something inside the house had awakened, and now it wanted them afraid. It wanted them to break. The children refused to sleep alone. They whispered about the man in the mirror who copied their movements until they blinked. Clara found their youngest daughter staring at the wall for hours. When she touched her shoulder, the child said softly, "He says if I tell, he'll come out." And then came the possessions. Phil's moods would turn erratic, angry, almost violent. He didn't recognize his own voice. He spoke in languages he didn't even understand. He began having visions of fire, of blood, a woman screaming in the basement. But there was no basement. Even visitors weren't spared. A priest came to bless the home. He left mid-prayer, pale, mumbling that spirits were too strong. Another guest saw a woman hanging by her neck in the upstairs hallway, but when he ran upstairs, there was nothing there. The forest began to close in. Trees shifted positions. Birds died mid-flight. The pond behind the house had turned black. And then, the attacks began. Clara woke up one night with 3 long scratches down her back, bloodied and still fresh. The children were pushed, pulled, even bitten. Objects levitated, crucifixes turned upside down. The family dog vanished. Only its collar remained, soaked in blood at the foot of the old tree. One night, the family gathered to pray. The power went out, the candles blew out without wind, and from upstairs, a low, raspy voice whispered, They fled the house that night, but the terror followed them. They reported seeing the house in their dreams, the same window lit, the same silhouette watching. And for Clara, the voice never stopped. Even in broad daylight, she'd hear it, soft inside her skull. The Hinsdale House wasn't just haunted. It was a predator, and the Dandy family had been chosen. Word of the haunting spread beyond Hinsdale. It wasn't long before paranormal investigators took notice. Among them, a name known to every student of the supernatural, clairvoyant Mary D'Angelo, and later one of the most famous couples in the paranormal history, Ed and Lorraine Warren. Mary D'Angelo was the first to step inside after the dandies left. What she reported was chilling. She stated, "The house breathes. It shifts. There is something older here, something inhuman." She described being pinned down by invisible hands, voices speaking in ancient tongues, and a vision of a woman being hanged from the second-story rafters. And just as the dandies had seen, the rope appeared again, hanging and swinging. Mary begged the family not to return, but the investigation only escalated. The Warrens, famed for their work on the Amityville Horror and the Perron haunting, were called in. Lorraine Warren suggested, "This isn't just a spirit, it's a place of power, a terror in the veil." The Warrens believed that the house sat on cursed ground, possibly linked to Native American burial sites, or even darker rituals. Ed performed a cleansing, a full exorcism. But as the prayer reached its peak, the house fought back. Objects hurled across rooms, mirrors cracked in spiderweb patterns, and then silence. They left quickly, and afterward, neither of them spoke about the Hinsdale publicly again. But Mary Angelo left behind one final note. The land is wrong. Something was summoned here. It can be sent back. Whatever haunts the Hinsdale House isn't done. The Dandy family never returned, but the Hinsdale House never slept. For years after, it sat vacant. Locals whispered about it. Teenagers dared each other to go inside. Not all of them came back the same. In the early 2000s, paranormal investigator Daniel Clays purchased the property. He didn't want to live in it. He wanted to study it. Since then, the house became a hotspot for paranormal teams across the world. But every group leaves with a different story and the same warning. Some hear the chanting Mary D'Angelo recorded in the 70s. Others cast shadows darting just outside their flashlight beams. And some see her. In 2016, a paranormal team captured audio of a noose creaking, yet no rope existed. One member had vivid dreams for weeks after, was swinging, suffocating, and clawing at the air. Another guest woke up in the middle of the night, in the woods behind the house. No memory of how he even got there. But it isn't just ghosts of hunters being affected. Neighbors say the house hums at night. Lights appear in windows. And once, someone saw a figure standing on the roof, arms stretched out to the moon. Inside the house, it's colder. The upstairs bedroom remains 10 degrees below the rest. Guests report dizziness, nausea, blackouts. Many refuse to stay past midnight, and some who leave never fully do. One guest took home a rock from the property. Within days, his wife heard scratching in the walls. Doors slammed. He returned the rock. It didn't stop. The house chooses who it follows. The Hinsdale House doesn't want to be understood. It wants to be feared. So if you ever find yourself driving through the woods of Hinsdale, New York, and you see a white farmhouse tucked into the trees, don't stop, don't look, and whatever you do, don't go inside. Some mysteries were never meant to be solved, but if you enjoy walking through the shadows with me, there are many more secrets waiting to be uncovered. Subscribe to Dark Whispers, where every story leads you deeper into the unknown. And who knows, maybe next time, the whispers will be about you.